other than Eden know what this is called?
I do.
What is it?
Seahorse.
It's not a seahorse. It's like a seahorse, but it's not a seahorse. And we're going to learn. I'm going to read a book to you about it.
Oh.
No. He's going to sit right here. This is called sea dragons. Now, I'll turn the book so we can all see. These are called leafy sea dragons. Now, why are they called leafy sea dragons, do you think?
Have leaves.
Yeah, he looks leafy, doesn't he? But he's not a plant, he's an animal. All right, we're going to
I
read.
thought he was a plant.
No, he's made to look like a plant. All right, here we go. It's a leafy sea dragon. He has skin flaps. So all these are called skin flaps. Do you see that? Skin flaps. He looks like, what does he look like? What's this plant? Does anybody know?
A dragon.
This is seaweed. He looks like seaweed. So this is the animal and this is the plant, and he looks like it, doesn't he? See it? Here, let me sit up here so maybe you guys can see better. All right. See the weedy sea dragon? She lives by a reef. I'm supposed to see her in this picture. I don't even see her.
Camouflage.
Yeah. So there's this one. This is a different looking leafy sea dragon. It's kind of a different color and it's not quite so leafy. She swims. She is not fast. She hides. She's not fast. A sea dragon has no teeth. So what do they not have?
No teeth.
How does he eat? He uses his snout. This is called his snout.
He blows it in.
He uses, it is long. It sucks up food. So he like always drinks through a straw. Anything he eats is through a straw. He is hungry. He eats shrimp. Yum. Now, I don't think that's quite accurate in size because I don't see how he could eat that. But this is what he eats. He eats tiny plankton. And plankton are tiny animals and tiny plants in the water. And also tiny shrimp. Probably not one that large. But he sucks it up through his straw without chewing. Sea dragons mate. The mom lays the eggs. She puts them on the dad. This gives me a little bit of a creep. But dads carry the eggs. They are pink. Do you see them? Do you see the eggs?
Yeah.
They're on his tail.
Yeah.
See that? He carries them around on his tail. Isn't that really strange? 4 to 6 weeks go by. The eggs hatch. Hello, babies. And look at this tiny, brand new baby leafy sea dragon. Isn't he sweet?
Or she.
Or she. Isn't it just tiny? Parts of a sea dragon. Now let's review. What was this part called? Does anybody remember? The snout. That's right.
Wait, can I see?
Yes. See this? This is his snout. It's like a straw. What's this here? Can anybody tell me? What am I pointing at? It's an eye. It says sea dragons can move each eye by themselves. So everybody look at somebody else's eyes and move your eyes back and forth. There is nobody in this room that can move their eyes one way and one the other. They all go the same way. They go up, they go down, go side to side. A sea dragon can take one eye and he can look this way, and the other eye and he can look that way. Why do you think that is?
Because God made him so he won't get eaten.
Yeah, because are sea dragons fast? Are they fast swimmers? No, they're slow swimmers. So what has God used to help them be safe?
Shrimp.
What are some things that God has built about the sea dragon that helps them be safe? Look at this guy. Sit down, please.
Is that a sea dragon?
This is a leafy sea dragon. Levi?
The leaves. Like, they think that the show think that it's like a plant, and then they leave.
That's exactly right. Do you know what that's called? Camouflage. Animal camouflage. So God has made the leafy sea dragon to look like a plant so he's not an easy snack for every other thing. And it says that some sea dragons, I think, can also, they're colored based on, see this guy, he doesn't look much like seaweed, but a lot of them live on the coral reef, where it seems like behind me, the coral reef is all different colors. So this guy probably lives on something that has purple in it, and God made him that way. Now, there was a question, there was a guess at the beginning about what it was called, and there was a question about, is it a seahorse? Now, we're going to learn about seahorses later, I'm sure. This is a seahorse. The pink guy.
Oh, I like it.
See, that's a seahorse. You want to see the seahorse? And this is a sea dragon. And you know what? They're a lot alike, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're a lot alike. They both have snouts, and their eyes can move independently. But this is what I found interesting. All right, a seahorse swims this way. He swims vertically. A seahorse, if we had a seahorse, he would be swimming, swimming, swimming this way. A sea dragon only swims this way. He swims only horizontally. A sea dragon's tail is not used as an anchor. So his tail, unlike a seahorse, the seahorse's tail, it's all curled up, and the seahorse will hold on to the seaweed or hold on to the coral because he's not a strong swimmer. The sea dragon does not do that. He's a stronger swimmer, and he can swim around. Now, what is another thing we learned about? Where are the, do you know that with both seahorses and sea dragons, that the daddy takes care of the babies? Did you know that? Now, with the sea dragon, where are the eggs at on the daddy? On his tail. Now, sit down, please. We can imagine there's eggs right on his tail, and they stay on his tail until they hatch. With a seahorse, where does daddy keep the eggs?
In this pouch.
Yeah, the daddy has a special pouch. See his pouch all full of eggs right there? He keeps his pouch full of eggs, and then he's got like a belly button that they just squirt out of. It's kind of strange, but it's different. And also, the leafy sea dragon obviously has all these leafy skin flaps to camouflage, and the seahorse never does. The seahorse changes colors and everything like that, but they are a lot alike. So remember, what is this called? Leafy sea dragon. The leafy sea dragon. And didn't God make something just so beautiful and amazing? And I just want to see, do you know where a sea dragon lives? There's only one place in the world a sea dragon lives.
Florida?
No. Australia. The southern part of Australia is the only place in the world you can see a sea dragon in the wild.
Good morning, everyone. Looking for something. Didn't want to step on it. How is everybody?
Good.
All right. Happy Sabbath to you all. Now, last week we talked about Absalom, didn't we? He was one of King David's sons, and he wanted to be king and not David. And it turned out to be not a good idea, right? Now, King David had another son. What was his name? Adonijah?
Solomon.
No, that was Solomon, but there was another brother, Adonijah, I believe it is pronounced that way. Adonijah. He, a few years after Absalom, he wanted to be king. You would have thought that he would have learned his lesson from seeing Absalom trying to be king. You would have thought that, right? But no, he didn't learn his lesson. And Adonijah, the Bible says, was also a handsome young man. Very good looking. And he got the people to like him just like Absalom did. And he got the other princes, the other brothers that David, all the sons that David had, he got them all in together, and he says, look guys, Absalom didn't work out, but I know how to do it. I have a better way of becoming king. And if you'll support me, I'll make you guys very important people in my kingdom. So all the brothers except one. Who? Solomon, that's right. All the brothers except Solomon were invited to this feast. And some important people of the kingdom came, and they were invited to this feast. And Adonijah at this feast said, I'm going to be king. I want to be king. Not David. David's getting old. Now, David was so old. He was always cold. You ever been so cold that no matter how many blankets you put on, you're still cold? You ever been that cold? Well, David was that cold. He was so old. He just couldn't keep warm. And so Adonijah says, my father David is getting too old to be king. And so Adonijah says, I want to be king. So the prophet Nathan heard what was going on, and he quickly ran to David and Bathsheba and said, what's going on? What's going on? And they said that Adonijah wants to be king. So now is your time to make your move, because we know that Solomon was going to be the next king, right? God had chosen Solomon. So, King David took Solomon before all the people, and he said, this is what the Lord wants. He wants to make Solomon the king. And so he did. Right there in front of all the people, made Solomon the king. Now,
Was he a mean?
no, he wasn't a mean king. We're going to talk about that here in just a minute. He was not a mean king. And then David said, now that you're king, I want you to know that I couldn't build God's temple. God wouldn't let me build his temple. But he said that my son Solomon, which is you, could build a temple. So I have kept all these special things in the back here just for you. And David took Solomon to a big room in the back that Solomon hadn't seen. And he opened the door, and what do you think he found inside? There were pieces of gold and silver and jewels and all kinds of beautiful things. And David said, this is just the beginning for you to make the temple. He says, the rest I want you to get from the people. So Solomon called all the people together, and he says, I'm going to build the temple of God, the most beautiful temple that he has. But in order to do that, I need your help, said King Solomon. I need your help. Would you help me? And what do you think they said? Yes. Let's hear you say yes. Yes. We'll help you build. And they brought gold and silver and jewels and brass, all kinds of beautiful things, their best things, to Solomon so that he could build the temple. And so Solomon did. He started building this temple. God had a plan. And he had given that plan to David. And David took that plan and he said, here, Solomon, God told me exactly how you need to build it. And Solomon looked at it and said, wow, it's going to be the most beautiful building in the whole world. And so Solomon built it. And he built it with gold and precious diamonds. He used diamonds to buy special cloth and curtains. And he used marble. And it was just beautiful, the Bible says. The most beautiful temple. That's what he was going to build. And he was building this, and he was just doing such a beautiful job. And then the Lord said to Solomon, he says, you're a good king. I think I'm going to give you something special. What would you like for me to give to you? God was talking to Solomon like that. So wisdom is just being really, really smart about things, about knowing what to do. And in a situation that he would understand it, and he would learn it, and he could explain it, and everything. Like if Solomon were here, I heard your nature story about your leafy what?
Mom, do you have
Leafy sea dragon. And if Solomon had been here, he could have told you all about that leafy sea dragon because he would have studied it, he would have understood it, he would have known all about it. That's wisdom, okay? So Solomon asked God for wisdom, and God said, wow, that is pretty cool. You just asked for wisdom. That's all. Okay, you get wisdom. And Solomon got wisdom. He says, and because you didn't ask for anything else, I'm also going to give you riches and power and influence. And God gave him all of these things because he only asked for wisdom. Okay? Isn't that nice? So, then, Solomon was the wisest man that had ever lived. He built the most beautiful temple that Israel and Jerusalem and the world had ever seen. All of these things he did happen because he did one thing. What was that one thing? He loved and obeyed God. Because he loved and obeyed God, he loved and obeyed his father David. And because he loved and obeyed God, he got his wisdom. And because he got his wisdom, he got other things. He was a very influential, powerful king and a good king. Because he obeyed. Now, had Absalom and Adonijah been like Solomon, they wouldn't have become king because God wanted Solomon to be king, but they probably would have had good things too and happy lives. But because they disobeyed, they lost their lives. And we don't want to do that, do we? You know. So let's be more like Solomon, King Solomon here, that loved God, did what God asked him to do, and he became very